Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Julian Laurent, Jan Agafiatov and Stevie Nicol are here to answer your questions. Jan, the psychologist on Team Haaland. We've established that one so far. Been loving hearing from the interview all week. But we'll get underway with these questions, and we start with one for you, Stevie. Should Liverpool switch to a back three and have Trent and Robbo as wingers? The back three would be Virgil van Dijk, Matip and Konate.
Absolutely not. I mean, what? Why fix what's not broken? You know, one of the reasons, and it applies to Robertson. I've been asked this question about Alexander-Arnold more than Robertson. Why would you not push him further up the field? Well, the reason you don't push him further up the field to start with is because he comes late. And so when he comes late, he gets more time on the ball. So when you play with the back four and you've got both him and Robertson, that's why they get to deliver so many great balls, because they come late and that gives them more time to get their head up and either pick a spot or pick out a player. So, hey, it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Do you agree with that, Jules?
Yeah, completely. And I think the main strength of this team has been the three midfielders. Maybe not so much this season, especially after Wijnaldum left the club. But still, if you've got Henderson at his best, Fabinho and Thiago Alcantara, they are what also makes this team special and link everything together. So I agree for the two fullbacks with Stevie, but I also think that the midfield three is very, very important to this team anyway. So if you move to a back three, there's no midfield three anymore, and I think that really unbalanced the team.
So the answer to the question there for everybody is no. Jan, I'll start with you. What's the harshest thing said by a coach to you during your playing days?
Wow, I mean, that is a tough one. We have a lot of beep, 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 beep. One manager in a 5 against 2, he was so mad at the team that when I tackled him, he kicked me big time when I was lying down. That was quite tough. Another one was unbelievably useless, a guy I had in Germany. So I gave him 8 games, then I had to fire him. He was terrible, but he was terrible in terms of tactics. But if you played in England, at the time I did, there was a lot of swearing. That was a part of the things. I had one manager, I won't name him, and I asked one of the young kids to count how many times he said the F word in the dressing room. In a half-time, 52. 5-2 is the number.
Stevie, what about you? We're going on the brutal Tuchel line here.
Well, it's a long story, but I'll cut it way down, because I've told it before. It was Kenny Dalglish after a testimonial game at Anfield between Liverpool and Everton. Full house. I believe the final score was 2-2. And I played the last 20 minutes of the game. And the reason I played the last 20 minutes of the game was because the previous 3 days I had already played 2 games and I had already travelled combined on a bus and a car about 26 hours. So really, I wasn't going to be on the game. So when I got in the game, my legs were like jelly. They were like rubber. It was somebody else. And I got in after the game and he came straight over to me and he used a few expletives, basically saying, if that's what you're going to do, let me know beforehand and you won't get on. I was just sat like that.
Cheers,
That's
Kenny.
serious. I'll tell you what, if he thought for 1 second that you dropped your standard, he would be all over you. This was a testimonial. Seriously.
I had one, Stevie played probably against Hans Krankel, who was the big goal-getter of Austrian football.
Hold on a second, what do you think I am? Hans Krankel, beg your pardon.
Hans Krankel played till he was in 85, my friend. 85. He retired in 89. You're not that young or old, my Mr. Nicol.
Actually,
but
you're right.
He was a young,
right.
but he was a young coach when I had him in Rapid Vienna. I remember a game we played against Sturm Graz, and at halftime he took the dustbin, I think that's what he called, and put it in front of me. I was 22, and he said, "I swear to good Jan, you wouldn't even dribble this one." I mean, that was a tough quote to get for a 22-year-old.
Oh, that's not very nice. Jan, the next question's for you, actually. Do you think Norway could win the World Cup or the Euros in the next 15 years with the likes of Haaland?
Hey, I just remembered another Kenny one.
Go on.
So in England, in order to work, you have a thing called a P45 to work, right? And so Mike Hooper was playing in a game and threw one in. I mean, he threw it in. And he came in at half-time and he turned round to Kenny and he said, "My fault." And Kenny looked at him, he said, "My fault?" He said, "I tell you what," he said, "you know what you can do? Get yourself up the stair, pick up your P45 and..." That was at half-time.
And what happened?
No, Mike just sat like that. Now, Mike's 6'4", by the way. He sat like a wee boy. He looked about 10 years old. He was like that.
So the moral of the story is do not cross King Kenny. All right, Jan, let's get back to the Norway one. Could they win the World Cup or the Euros in the next 15 years with the likes of Haaland and Odegaard coming to prominence? Are there any other young prospects we should be keeping an eye out for?
I'll have a pint, whatever that guy's having.
Could Norway win the World Cup? When we qualified in '94, the last time we qualified was 1938. So 15 years is an unbelievable long time in Norwegian football. No, we will never win the World Cup. We're not good enough. We're too small. I mean, what is the smallest nation that's done well in the World Cup? That was probably Uruguay. We don't have that kind of talents. We have two good talents in Haaland and Odegaard. And to the question, do we have any more young players coming through? Yes, they are coming through. But as Steve and a lot of other football people will sign, it's the hardest thing to be a talent and then be into international players. That is a huge step for any player.
Jan, the Euros was mentioned there. Could there not be a chance in the Euros?
We'll be very close. We'll be very close. And as UEFA are doing at the moment, they are going from 8 to 16 to 24 to 32. So it's getting closer. We normally lose in the playoffs, but we have hopefully we've got a good national coach in Ståle Solback, and he's looking for the types of player more than the best players. You know what I mean. So I think that we will get an okay team soon.
What's the population? Julian's probably better to ask this. What's the population between Croatia and Norway?
All right.
Good.
No,
but it's a good. I tried to Uruguay because I think Uruguay is 4 million or something. Norway is 5, and I'm not sure about Croatia. Well, I will be in the same level, I think. But an unbelievable football nation, and in the old Yugoslavia, Croatia was the ball nation, not only in football, in every sport with two balls.
Next question is for Jules. You're having a five-a-side game. In which order would you pick these strikers? Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Luis Suarez, Karim Benzema, Sergio Aguero, and Robert Lewandowski.
Oh, all the best dudes.
Wow. On the form of now or at the peak of their career?
What
are we talking?
If they're all in their peak form.
Okay. So, I mean, the number one, Karim the Dream has to be number one. Then I go Lewandowski second, Suarez third.
Oh.
I go Ibra fourth, and who's the fifth?
Aguero.
Oh.
Yeah, Aguero. I'm not an Aguero guy at all. I love the 93 20 seconds, of course, 2012, but I'm not an Aguero guy. So I'm pretty happy with Benz, Louis, Suarez, Ibra, and then Aguero to finish.
I can't believe you left.
I know it's a different question.
I can't believe you get
question, right?
Zlatan in the fourth. Sorry, Steve, go on. You're 15 years older than me, please.
I know it's a different question, and you're right as well as that. But that team, if you put that five-a-side team out on the field, it wouldn't win a thing.
No, of course, because you
wouldn't win a thing.
Yeah, of course. But I suppose that maybe if it was your striker, which would you pick first every time?
No, I know.
Yeah.
That's what I said that.
I know.
I prefaced it by saying that.
Listen to the defender making sure that people know in a five-a-side, defenders are important too.
But a striker will always, when we had the first pick in training, and we did that in the old days, we could do that the five-a-side, I always picked defenders. Always.
All right, Jan, trying to get brownie points with Stevie.
It's true.
No, it's true. I will win games.
You've just insulted him on his age. Don't try and backtrack now.
I'll tell you what, I've played in five-a-side teams that never had one striker in it and beat everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Strikers are hopeless at five-a-side.
Yeah.
Hopeless.
Defenders are important too. OK, we've been waiting for this one. OK, Jan, what's your animal encounter story growing up in Norway? I'm sure it's amazing.
Has to be one in Norway.
We've been getting animal encounter stories all week.
So I've been meeting some animal. That is the question.
Just.
I'm from Gursken. That is the smallest village in Norway. There was farmers all around. There were cows and sheep and cats and dogs and not lions, but we have eagles. We had everything around me. I'm from the jungle. I mean, that is a question I can't answer. I met every ice bear. I met everyone. OK, so you've met them all. That's great. Do you have a particular story, though, that's like anecdotal? You know, Ali yesterday was telling us that he was riding a donkey and ended up getting chased by a bull. We've had all sorts of stories like this. What about, do you have anything like that? Oh, yeah, Xhaka had an encounter with a goat unexpectedly, where the goat went up on its hind legs. Oh, well, this is a good story. So, I mean, how can I produce that now? I mean, animals were a part of my life all the time. When I played football, we always had to try to battle with the cows to get the balls back and all that kind of thing. I'm from Farmerland. I mean, these people, Xhaka, when they see animals, they're afraid. That is a part of my life. I am like Mowgli in the jungle.
Remember I told you we ran from the cows? Honestly, we were all townies. We got on the field and all the cows started coming towards us and we all ran. And then the local boys all just shushed them all away while we were all running the other way.
Did you make sure you got your move on?
We did.
Right.
Very apt.
All right. Jules, does playing time necessarily equate to good exposure or development for a young footballer? I feel that Ricardo Pepi's move to Augsburg won't be good for his stats in this instance. He is a 9 that needs service in the box and he won't get that regularly there.
It's a good question. Game time you need for the experience, for the rhythm, to get used to tackles and challenges from really strong, good defenders. If you're a striker, for example, in Pepe's case, if you play the same amount of time in MLS or in the Bundesliga, no offense to MLS, but you will improve a lot in Germany, even if you don't get as much service and as many goals, certainly at the beginning, than you would get FC Dallas, for example. I still think that it's a step up to go to Europe as a young player and get game time. Yeah, of course, if you go and spend a lot of time get just 5 or 10 minutes there and there. We saw Pepe already starting in the Bundesliga. He's been there 2 minutes. So I do think this is a very, very important experience for them.
Yeah, do you think, Jan, that people are drawing conclusions too quickly on Ricardo Pepi's move to Augsburg?
Absolutely. I think it's a brilliant move from him. I mean, say that he goes to Bayern and he takes the Choupo-Moting role that when Bayern are up 4-0, he will come on and get the odd goals. I mean, I'm 55. I could get an odd goal from Bayern Munich. If Pepe is going to take the next step, he will also make it in Augsburg. Augsburg have got strikers over the years that have scored enough goals, and Pepe would do the same. Don't use that excuse that they won't cross the ball to him. If this guy is class and he wants to take the next step, he should also survive in Augsburg, and to go as a 19-year-old to Europe, live on his own, develop in a good environment, good coaches, a great role model in Stefan Reuter is the head of sport there. Great move for Pepe.
Stevie, do you think that Aston Villa have spent the Jack Grealish money well by signing the likes of Buendia, Ings, Digne?
Well, they did buy Buendia at the beginning of the year, and they did struggle. The truth is, it turned around when Steven Gerrard came in, because they were one of the candidates to get relegated. And in such a short space of time, nobody is looking at this team as relegation candidates, and they have brought some players in. And so you'd have to say everything they've done since they changed the manager has worked. So has to be a yes.
Jules, last question is for you. After the signing of Vlahovic, where do you see Juventus finishing this season?
Well, he has to deliver a top 4 finish position. He has to. I mean, you don't spend up to 80 million euros, and the guy doesn't take you where you want to be. This is the whole idea. If they spend all that money, which is pretty much the whole budget they had for transfer, I think for this window, but also for the summer one, he has to deliver. I know the pressure would be huge on him. And by the way, I think the problem at times for Juve was more getting the ball into the box more than having someone in there to finish those chances. It's creating the chances that has been a problem as well for them. So good luck to him, because I think he will need it, but he has to deliver now. This is the kind of transfer that has to change a team that makes you into a great player. So it's not the ball is in his court, it's down to him. But they can't sign him when they're 5th and finish 5th at the end of the season after spending all that money and having all those expectations and pressure around him. He has to deliver now and take them into at least 4th place, maybe even 3rd.
Yep, interesting second half of the season ahead with Vlahovic now at Juventus. Thanks so much for sending your questions in on the latest edition of Extra Time. Thanks so much to all the guys for answering them too, including Jan telling us about the cows on the farm. Join us tomorrow and the next day and the next day. We are available 7 days a week. Be sure to always catch us.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.